Hi everybody, Gary Williams again, reaching out to friends and colleagues all over the world to see how we're all coping with this crazy coronavirus situation. I'm so happy that one of my oldest friends and colleagues is waiting patiently there, the great Gary Hunter. Hello, Gary.
Hello there, Gary.
You,
The two Garys, that's what we have
the
today.
two Garys, yeah. I don't think that's
I
happened
love that
before, actually.
you said one of your oldest friends.
Well, I have known you a long time. Let's leave it at that. So where in the world are you?
We're in a little town called Dunnellon, Florida. And Dunnellon is about 45 minutes from my main house. And we're down on the Withlacoochee River. And the Withlacoochee is an Indian word, means crooked river. And my wife loved to get down here and just get away. So we're still keeping our circle of friends very, very tight because we're still practicing safe distancing. And most of the residents that are in this area come down for the winter time. And of course, they've all gone back home. So we don't have a lot of people around us down here right now. We sort of have the place to ourselves, which is quite nice.
So it's kind of been a bit of news over here recently, some protests you've been having in the States with people who feel that the lockdown is a sort of a breach of their civil liberties, that they think it's all a bit blown out of proportion by the press and so on. Have you experienced any of that where you are? Is that sort of a real thing in the States, or is it just the news making a big deal out of nothing as far as that's concerned?
Well, I do think that it's a real thing. I think that people have the right to go out and protest as long as they practice the safe distancing as when they're protesting. I mean, it's interesting that they're protesting in their automobiles and they're not actually walking the streets. Normally when we have protests, you see people out and not only are they walking the streets, but then they're burning down their towns. And I'm thinking, why would you do that? Why would you burn down your own town? Go to somebody else's town, burn it down. But I can understand what it is. It's starting to wear on people because, we hope that there's an end in sight, but we don't really know how long this is going to go on for. And you and I, especially having been for years in the business that we're in, working on cruise ships and traveling the world and getting on planes and flying. Do you really want to get on a plane with someone that possibly has the virus? Do you really want to get on another cruise ship right now with people that might have the virus? And how do you make sure that they don't have that? And that's by hopefully, practicing some self-quarantine to make sure that you don't have the symptoms and then keeping your circle of friends, I think, somewhat tight. You're only hoping that your friends are also practicing safe guidelines as well. And you never know. And then who are their friends? And so everybody has their own little circle of friends. And so, but Kelly and I, we are staying at home as much as possible. Luckily, we can order food and it can be, you drive up to the store and open up the boot of your car. We call it the trunk. Yeah. And they put it in there and then you drive off.
Okay.
And you can order stuff, of course, through Amazon. Amazon's business and stock has probably gone sky high.
Gone pretty well. Conversely, the stock and the business for the industry we love, cruise lines, has gone kind of canned, has not done well. And the question, when I talk to friends and colleagues in the cruise industry, of course, everybody's dying to know when they can get back to work and start earning some money and start doing what they loved. And I've got friends, as I know you have, who are avid cruise passengers who have loved it for years, who are not going to be put off by this and are just waiting. They want to know when. So, and I hear different schools of thought. Of course, nobody knows. And I know that you don't, you work as a cruise director and have done for some time for the Great Crystal Cruises, which we love. And you're not representing them here, but just as two people chatting, how it's hard to imagine how the cruise lines are going to start to come out of this. I mean, what practice is there? Because it's not just going to happen overnight from now to back to normal. So have you had any personal thoughts on, how things might gradually start to get back to some kind of normalcy on cruise ships?
Well, I think that, people have to feel confident that it's safe to go back out and travel. Let's get back to the protest for a few seconds, because all these protests, I understand why people want to protest, because they want to go back out and work, because you know, some of these people are living week to week, some people are living month to month, and so it's getting a little desperate for these people. I think that some of the restrictions that were imposed on citizens were a little too tight. I mean, for an example, if you have a boat, if you have a house on a lake and you have a boat, you weren't even allowed to get in your boat to go out on that lake, even if you were by yourself. You weren't allowed to go fishing. What's that going to hurt? You weren't allowed to buy seeds to plant in your garden. You weren't allowed to buy paint to maybe do some work around the house, which is the perfect time to do some home projects. So it was getting a little too restrictive, I think. And I think that was one of the things that brought on some of these protests. So I can understand that. Now, getting back to people wanting to get back on cruises. First of all, you got to get on a plane, most of these people, to get to the cruise. So are the airlines going to have the safe practicing? And who's going to regulate that? Who's going to put the guidelines in position? Are they going to leave it up to the airlines, or is it going to become government mandate that this is what you have to do? Is everyone going to be temperature checked? Or are they going to have some kind of card that says, I don't have the virus, before you can get on the plane? Put yourself in that position. All of a sudden you get a call to get on a booking, and you're getting on a crowded plane to fly from your home to this booking and everything. You're going to have maybe a few doubts. Is everyone else on this plane safe? Is everyone going to have to travel with a mask? You know, everyone's going to have to be carrying a little sanitizer too. They don't want you wearing gloves now, but you know, you want to sanitize and everything. And then if you buy a ticket to get on a plane, or you buy a ticket to get on a cruise, and you arrive at the terminal, you arrive at the pier, and they're doing these checks and everything, if all of a sudden your temperature is spiked a little bit and it's gone up, and they're so, I'm sorry, you're denied boarding, are you going to get your money back? And so I think that at some point, someone's going to have to make a decision that you said, yes, we want you to fly again, we want you to cruise again. However, we do have these guidelines, and if for some reason you're denied boarding, you will get a full refund. Otherwise, why would you buy a movie ticket, or would you buy a theater ticket to go see a show and then get there and then not be able to go in and not have the assurance that you're going to get your money back? You're trying to help the...
It's hard to imagine practically. I mean, not just whether it's a cruise ship or whether it's a 1,500-seat theatre. I mean, I know in the UK that most shows have been or are being cancelled for the next few months, but people are really focusing on the autumn, sort of September, October time, to starting doing shows again. But you know, I can't imagine it's just going to go from what we have now to back to what it was. It seems, and of course we're all just guessing, but it seems there's going to have to be some kind of social distancing. But it's interesting how they're going to achieve that, if they need to do it, in a theatre, which is the same, whether it's on a plane, a ship, a theatre, anything where we're used to having a sports event, a congregation of people.
And will it be profitable? If you have to distance people by 6 feet, are you going to be able to get enough people in for a performance to actually pay for the actual performance, the show?
Yeah, exactly.
Same thing, you have a restaurant, and normally it had 100 seats in the restaurant, and now you're only allowed to have 30, 35 people in the restaurant because you need the social distancing.
Yeah.
Is that restaurant going to be profitable?
Yeah. And same with a cruise ship, right? So if a cruise ship normally has 2,000 people on board, and you say, okay, well, we can make this work. We'll only have 1,000 instead of 2,000. And I mean, I was thinking about this because I thought, well, maybe one way they will do it is that a ship will leave the port that it leaves. It will be the port that it returns to, and it will go initially, I'm talking about as a transitionary period, that it won't go to any other ports of call. You know, it will leave Fort Lauderdale, sail around for a week at sea, so no one else is coming on board, risking infecting other people, and then it ends back at Fort Lauderdale and everybody gets off. I can imagine that they might have kind of tents outside the cruise terminals or airports where they're doing kind of testing, you know, you kind of file through and they'll have some pretty efficient tests that can give results within a few minutes. And if you're passed, off you go. Of course, it's not going to be perfect, but it's something. And then all of this, social distancing. I mean, they could organize the same kind of thing we're experiencing on land. They could do that on a ship, have people standing outside the shops, only letting a few people in, and, the restaurants are laid out differently. But the question is, if that's possible, is it going to be profitable? But what else are they going to do?
I think that this is going to take a while to get over. Has there been a lot of hype in the media about this? Yes. We keep hearing. We keep hearing more people, die from the common flu than have died from, this.
Well, I don't think that's true at all. I think it perhaps was in the early stages, but the figures now.
In the early stage. Right?
Yeah, now it's definitely not. I mean, the deaths from.
You also and I don't diminish this, but I think that some of the numbers might have been skewed a little bit. How many people would have in these groups would have passed away anyway?
There is that, but I certainly in the UK.
Find the more people that you can contribute to of having passed from the virus, the more funds you get as well. And so are the local politicians or are the politicians, playing with the numbers so that they get more funds?
I know there's controversy in the UK because...
I'm not saying that this is not serious. This is very serious.
The way that they seem to be measuring the numbers in the UK is not including, for example, it's only including people that die in hospital that have been tested for the virus. So it's, pretty much accepted. There are lots more people that are dying from it, perhaps, for example, in nursing homes, in care homes, in their own homes, that, or people that have died in hospital that haven't been tested for it. I mean, I think those arguments as to, maybe they're exaggerating the numbers in certain places to get funding. Well, whatever funding they may be getting is going to be peanuts compared to the money that everybody's losing. I mean, the cost of this for everybody, right? Whether it's you and I or people who are running a state, who are running a country. I mean, the cost is insane, isn't it? And when I talk to some friends who are in the cruise industry or other businesses, actually, I was just chatting to somebody else today, because I say to people, I think, well, look, I'd love it to be sooner, but I can't see things getting back to normal until there's a vaccine, until everybody's vaccinated. But that's
I agree.
18 months maybe, right? A year to 2 years, whatever. But then people say to me, and I understand this, they say it cannot be that long because the world as we know it is going to, we cannot afford cruise line, multi-billion-dollar cruise lines, airlines, businesses are just going to go bust. There's so much money at stake that, and they don't know how, but they just say the costs are so great that they will find a way somehow. They have to, otherwise we're all going to be, going around on horses and not have cars, and we're going to go back into the dark ages. So, I mean, where do you stand on that? What do you think? I'm talking to you today, Gary, because you're the man with the answers. The world is waiting.
I think we should wrap this up right now.
You should use one of your puppets. Then it's not you; it's just them.
I'll go get the dummy, because if you think I have all the answers, you're talking to the dummy. Listen, I think it's going to be a while. I don't think that this is something that a month from now, 2 months from now, 3 months from now, you go, oh, okay, we're done with it. No, I don't think so. I think there has to be a vaccine, of course, developed, and then there's going to have to, because if they open up, like right now in Florida, they're opening up the beaches again, and are people really social distancing at these beaches? I think some people do, some people don't. If they open up these restaurants, if they open up the theaters, if they open up the shops, they open up the beaches and the parks, and all of a sudden the numbers start going back up, who's going to be to blame for that? I mean, you've got the people, and it's a very small percentage, keep in mind, a very, very, very small percentage of the people that are actually protesting. But if you listen to those people, because the squeaky wheel gets the oil, and many, many times it's the vocal minority that's controlling the silent majority. And so if they do open up these businesses, and the numbers start going back up again, then you're going to close down everything else, and it's even worse then, and you lose even more confidence. So I think we have to let this play out. We have to suffer through it, and some people are going to suffer certainly much more than others. As you well know, there are many of our guest entertainer friends that we've been working with for years and years and years that have been riding high on this amazing industry, this cruise ship business, which has been fantastic. And a lot of these people have lived beyond their means for a long time because they thought this was never going to end. They've invested in homes, they've done this, they've done that, and the next thing you know, there's no money coming in. And a lot of people are living month to month, you know, contract to contract, because they thought it wasn't going to end. You know, I'm very, very blessed because I'm at the end of my career. You know, I just recently, you know, retired from cruise directing, and I'm still going to do my ventriloquist act, but I'm going to do it very limited, you know, appearances, because I've been doing it for 45 years. And so from 1975 until 2020, I've had this amazing run. But now I could not have picked a better time to retire. I'll be honest with you, Gary. I had no idea that my retiring was going to cause the cruise industry to collapse.
Do you know, I think the perfect opportunity for you to give back, because I think if you sell just one of your many homes, you can start the foundation. And you know, I think if people are watching this and need some money, they can contact you, and you will sort of distribute just a little bit of your fortune that you've amassed in all of these.
Or what I will do is I'll sell them a puppet and give them a ventriloquist lesson.
There's that. There is that also. Hey, you know, I know a lot of your friends, dear friends, are people who cruise, people who love the business. Do you think do you think it's going to put people off? People that love to cruise on ships, do you think it's going to put them off? Do you think the industry is going to change dramatically in the long term because of this? Or do you think in a couple of years it'll all be history?
I think it'll come back, because cruising is still one of the greatest vacation values, and it's one of the greatest adventures. It's so unique to get on a boat, on a ship, and to travel to exotic ports of call. You walk on board a ship, even in your home country, and as soon as you walk on board the ship, you've already been transported to another world. There's nothing like being on a cruise ship, with the service, the staff, the crew, the food, the entertainment. It's the complete package. I'm a big fan of the cruising industry, and I do think that it will come back, and I think it will come back strong. And because people, after all of this, are going to want to get away. They're going to want to be entertained. They're going to want to get back to the theaters. They're going to want to be going out to restaurants. They'll be tired of their own cooking. And I know that you cook, and I love to cook. I cook all the time. I just absolutely love it. But hey, listen, we could do an act together. Now, you just have to determine if you want to be the ventriloquist or the dummy.
Well, I know where you put your hands. Gary, great to talk.
Well, that better wrap this up.
We better wrap this up. Lots of love, and stay safe.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.